be wrong for them to do that. But if they said, look, you provoked us by dropping bombs on us, and then they came to drop bomb on you, then you can't say they're terrorists, because now this is a much complicated thing. So in your example, what happened? Unless I know the reality, I can't tell you. But what I know from the realities on the ground now, what's happening with ISIS and America and other governments, what they're doing, you are opinionated already. But opinionated, you already have an opinion. But when Israel, the key word, when Israel is mentioned, you hide behind your face, your doors, your sleeves. When Israel is mentioned, oh, God, Israel. It's like Israel, look, I'll tell you something. You will not be brave enough to condemn Israeli atrocities.
What I said was, I don't understand the situation.
Look, I'm making this assertion, like many people have seen. They are so afraid to even assert that Israeli state are committing aggression and oppression against the Palestinians. They will not man up. They will not be brave enough, a decent human being, and to say this is wrong. Why? Because several reasons. Whether you are already under their influence and control, who knows, or whether you're already on their payroll, who knows, or whether you're already a Zionist in disguise, I haven't got a clue. I cannot make any generalization. The only thing that we can see is this: when aggression happens, doesn't matter if the Muslims do it, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If the Muslims commit aggression and oppression and genocide and ethnic cleansing, it's wrong. But for people like yourself, my friend, you need to come also open. Look, just like you demand Muslims to condemn the bombings in Manchester, condemn the atrocities and terrorism that happened in 7/7 and 9/11, we demand from you. Likewise, wherever atrocities are committed by your governments, your people, your religion, man up to it, admit it, and say we condemn it to be wrong.
You stopped halfway through that sentence.
What?
When our government drops bombs and our government's the aggressor, then you paused.
Was what?
What do you actually want to say?
Maybe he had to breathe.
What do you actually want to say?
Okay. If our government commits an act of aggression on a sovereign country, that is wrong, 100%. Do you agree or disagree?
As I said to you before, going back to there, I don't understand this, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't understand.
If Britain goes to France for no reason, no provocation from France, and tries to take over part of France, is that wrong or right?
Yeah, of course, wrong.
Of course it's wrong. That's what I'm asking you. Be like that. When Israel commits, when America commits this kind of aggression and oppression and injustice, you should say wrong. Unless we have decent people like yourself, like this, the world will not be a just and happy place. We need to come clean like this. We need to condemn our bad apples. You have bad apples, we have bad apples. And we need to condemn them, saying, no, these are wrong. But are you doing this, is the question.
My understanding is, whenever I say, I don't understand all the complexities, which is why I'm not giving an opinion, and that's right of me not to. But whenever I say, if you brought someone else in here with a different point of view, they will then say, you're the aggressor. It just goes round and round and round and round. And you shout at each other, and you push each other, and it's futile. But I agree with you. You need to discuss it. All these people, whatever the fuck's going on out there.
You need to discuss. You need to discuss.
I don't understand.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't understand, so I'm not going to give an opinion. I'm not going to give an opinion, but I agree with your principle that if there is an unprovoked aggressor, totally, that's unacceptable. But I'm sure if you presented somebody here on the other side, he would make the claim that people don't go around making aggressive attacks unprovoked. They don't do that in civilized society.
Do you know how many settlements are built in occupied Palestine?
That's in a civilized society.
In a civilized world, Palestine has been occupied by another country.
It's faith. It's because of faith.
Have you ever spoken about it? Against it?
I don't know anything about it.
How about learning a bit more?
I'm not. Another time. But I'm with you on that. There's a few things that I did enjoy discussing. I did that embryology point. Honestly, whilst I will have a look into it, I think you should look into it as well.
I said I have already. I can. If you give me newer references that I haven't looked at, I will look at it. But I'm saying you need to look at it, not look at the opponent, the critiques, who are now saying brushing aside embryology. Like I know a lot of people do that. An embryologist named as P.Z. Myers had a discussion with some Muslims some time ago, and from this you had the atheist camp coming in and says, there you go, Islam's embryology is debunked. But if you were to analyze it, and this was the point, to discuss and bring about it, in real life and look at the evidence. Is this plagiarism? Is this totally scientific mistakes in what the Quran says? If it's not, suppose not for the sake of argument, if the Quran has described something which the ancient hasn't described, the moderns only found out recently, and is accurate, then you should say, how did this desert living person 1,400 years ago know about these things out of many things?
If I was able to deliver evidence to show it did exist, would you then denounce Islam? Or would you question Islam? You see, would you still think it's perfect?
One thing you need to understand. If the Quran is saying no one knew this before, and then you found someone knew it, then you have already proven this statement wrong. The Quran doesn't say no one knew this before. Quran is saying look and ponder and reflect on how God created you in stages. This is how He'll resurrect you again.
So I thought you were selling it to me as if He had predicted it. But then
no, it's not about prediction. Quran is describing a process 1400 years ago. That description is something that for them was far, far in advance, even at that time.
Well, that's what I doubt, you see.
You doubt, so you need to check.
And therefore my question is, which means on the condition that I can prove to you, or somebody can prove to you, that actually what he said wasn't right, and it had been known 2,000 years before.
If you can find, if you can find...
That's the word if. So we're in the world of hypothetical...
Suppose you found it.
On the condition that...
Suppose you found...
What would you then do?
Okay.
Would you then...
Suppose you found something Quran describes, which is scientifically wrong, then you are, by all means, right to say, this is scientific mistake in the Quran.
What would you do then?
No. What I will do, I will look at your evidence, because this is what exactly I'm being doing.
On the condition that again,
with these ones, I'll tell you, with these ones, like I've been doing for many, many years, I look at the evidence, and I will then make a judgment, okay? Because so far, the cumulative evidence of history in my history that I have seen, people make claims, debunking claims, and I'm seeing all of them fall apart. All of them.
My view is, even if I was able to produce something half credible, because you are told that the Quran is perfect, you refuse to accept it, notwithstanding the credibility of it.
If you can prove the Quran with absolute credibility, it's wrong, then you have proven it's wrong. But what I am telling you, this hypothetical example that you're giving is just a hope for you. Bring it on the table. This is precisely the reason we come here in Speaker's Corner, elsewhere on the internet, in our keyboards, discuss this. If you really have found that Quran is totally wrong, then you've made your case. But why is it that people are failing? Why is it? Why is it people are failing to prove that point? When the Quran
is there any point?
No.
Is there any point? Because you're told the script is perfect. Why would we try and prove
no.
You've been told is perfect.
What you need to understand is this Quran is saying, have you not considered the Quran with care? If it wasn't from God, then you will certainly find many discrepancies within it. So the Quran itself is giving a falsification test. Amazingly, the Quran itself is giving you a falsification test, just like any scientific hypothesis. If you can prove it wrong, then you're proving it wrong. Quran is saying, if this book wasn't from God, then you would find many discrepancies. So what we are asking is simply, examine this book and say, where is the discrepancy? Where is this error? Where is this contradiction? People are doing this on the internet, you'll see, and you'll see the Muslim responses. If you go back and forth, about debunking and rebuttal, you will see, with your, if you mind.
There's an argument there, because the language, I've never read the Quran, but he gave me a bit there. The language is suitably vague and suitably loose, but actually there are so many different interpretations of it. You will always be able to say, that's wrong.
When the Quran says God is one, you cannot twist it to say God is 2 in 1 or 3 in 1. It's very clear, because words, look, in a language, some words have a specific meaning. A son doesn't have a meaning of a daughter, because that's the distinction we made already in our vocabulary. Likewise, in the Quran, there are many words which describes in such a way you cannot get a different interpretation. But there are many things, other things, which can be vague as the way things are described. For example, do you not ponder on the camel, for example? No, wait. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Do they not look and ponder on how the camel is created, right? Now, this statement is not directing to anything specific about the camel. It's a very vague statement. And why so? Because if you were to study, I just give you an example for camel. I can talk about bees or anything.
So are you saying that, what's the point on this?
On this one, the Quran can give you statements which are very specific, or statements which are open wording which is called, it can be explained in so many different ways.
Okay.
So for example, when this example is used for a camel, we see the camel itself has several features of the eyelids, of its hoof, of its knees, of its fat clump. Everything is purposely designed to be a ship in a desert. Okay, not one thing. So we can then say, okay, actually look, that's why the Quran doesn't say, oh, have you not seen the knee of a camel? It doesn't have to be that specific, because a lot of this camel is very amazing. So when the Quran talks about specific things, about the human creation, okay, it's giving us specific details. So how can you go into this vagueness? You can only go as the words that allow. If the words allow ambiguity, then you have to say it's ambiguous.
The word camel is very specific, because look at the dictionary, what is a camel, you see a picture of it, see a photograph of it. It's not a donkey, it's not an elephant, it's a camel, very straightforward. So using specific language enables you therefore to give a very, very specific understanding of that. Whenever you wander into words, you can read it again, that thing you read to me.
Specific words. Specific words with specific meaning. And we can give you, because this has been discussed already, people have already demonstrated from ancient classical Arabic dictionaries. So it's not a new word meaning that has been invented today in 21st century. If I give you a dictionary 1,000 years old.
Okay, go to that wording about, let's look up some of the words.
Yeah, okay.
Because you'll have words in there. I do a lot of crosswords. Camel can only have one meaning. Whereas there'll be words in there, if you go to the dictionary or the thesaurus, it can have 30, 40, 50, 60 different meanings.
Camel has one meaning now.
Exactly.
Now.
So if I give you the words of the meanings of the words,
somebody's translated it into
in embryology, but whatever I give you about the science of embryology, you would not know about it. But I still
let's have a look at the words.
Let's look at the word. The words I can tell you, the words are used. Nutfa became alaqa.
Okay.
Alaqa became mudgha then changed it to idam. Idam was then clothed with lahm, and then khalqan akhar, another
Well,
creation.
had to go through that many different generations.
No.
Sorry.
These are stages within the human development, within the embryo.
Okay.
The first step is called the nutfa. Nutfa is understood to, like, in the way the Arabs describe, like if you have a bucket of water and you empty it, whatever amount of little drops that remains,
Eric Cantona. I thought it was Eric Cantona.
the whatever little drops that remains is the nutfa.
Okay.
If you have a dribbling of drop, the concept of a drop, and we know scientifically that part, the first stage of human creation, this zygote, is like a drop. Even look at it like a drop, okay? And it's so minute. When the Quran says not from all, it says min sulalatin min ma'in mahin, like the quintessence of this fluid, the ejaculatory fluid that's emitted. That means only the quintessence, a little part of it that's required for the human procreation.
When was this translated? So when did that Arabic word, what was it for drop? What's the Arabic word for drop?
I can give you a dictionary mentioning this, a few hundred years ago.
So when was it translated into English?
English translation.
Or the version you read in the mosque?
There's several. I mean,
There's only one version, is there?
no. Translation. There are more than 30 or 40 English translations, probably more.
But is that word is the same in each of them?
No. The word that are translated is translated like a sperm drop.
My point is, when was that translated to mean the word drop? What was it? Was it 19th century, 18th century, 20th century?
I don't know in English.
My point being that if it was translated 1400 years ago, and they chose the word drop,
if it was,
but
if the meaning was given 500 years ago with the meaning of drop, then would you say this is a retrofit meaning, or is it a meaning that is...
It's a nice possibility.
Yes, exactly. So this is exactly what we're saying. The word alaqa in Arabic language dictionaries like Qamus al-Muhit, Lisan al-Arab, Taj al-Arus. I'm just giving you the names of the famous dictionaries, and they describe this. This is what it means. So they say it means like an insect in the water that sucks blood. Okay, it's called a leech. In the ordinary language, they use it for leech. The root word for this is something that is called clinging. That's why my brother mentioned about clingingness earlier on. Because when we say we have relationship, because we cling to each other, in Arabic it's called alaqat, from alaqa, the word alaqa. Something that you hang like a lamp or something is called mu'allaq, coming from alaq. So you can see the word is used within this original meaning of the word. So this leech is also clinging to the mother's, uterine wall, to the placenta eventually, to suck the nutrition. Okay. And the other meaning is like a leech. It looks like a leech. This is the picture I was going to show you, but you can see the day 18 to 20 day embryo. At day 22, the embryo looks like a leech, medicinal leech we're talking about. If you open up the embryo, and if you open up the leech, or if you look at the leech and open it up, you will see the somites, the structure, and how they resemble each other. So internal and external, it looks like a leech. It functions like a leech as well. So as the leech hangs on your skin and sucks the blood, so does the human embryo. So the Quran is using a general term to describe a stage of a human development which are accurate in its morphology and function, description and function, and using a term which is not scientific. Like imagine the Quran says, oh, this is a morula. They'll say, why is that, Exactly. You can't. So the Quran is using words,
in semantics and word salad here.
So the Quran is using words.
Disprove the Quran to zygotes and embryos and leeches.
Sorry?
You're getting lost. You started on a very clear point, and now we're
Where have I
talking about
lost?
some representation, some metaphorical representation.
Not metaphorical, literal.
You just said it was metaphorical.
No, I am saying, when the Quran uses the word, the embryo, one stage of the embryo looks like a leech.
That's cool.
It
accept
does
that.
look like a leech, and it functions like a leech.
Okay, that's great. What I'm saying is, you've diverted from the original conversation,
Which
what
is?
often happens, which was you were talking about, it was his burden to prove that your book was true, completely true.
Is that what we're discussing? You asked me.
That's what it was when I came here.
When you
And now we're
perhaps you came in at a middle of a conversation.
Why don't you just switch off?
The friend here
the
friend here asked, let us look at the words. No.
Just keep talking.
Did you not ask me? Did you not ask me? Can you tell him? Did you not ask me what are the words used? He did. And that's why I'm giving you the words that I used.
Well, it's obscurity. So
Sorry?
It's taking far too long to get to a very simple point. You guys are
Far too long?
You guys are arguing about a concept, and you dive down far too.
I find
far
that
too-
you are disagreeing for the sake of
I'm not
disagreeing.
I'm completely objective.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
not
Okay.
one way or the other.
Okay, let's generalize it.
I'm just hearing noise.
What do you think the source of the Quran is? Where did the Quran come from?
I have no idea. Why would I know?
I'm just gonna get my umbrella out. No idea? The Quran says it's from God.
Right? Assuming there's a God. Yeah. Right.
Assuming there's a God. So why do you assume there is no God?
I don't assume either way.
Okay.
I am
So
completely objective.
when you say
Unlike
completely objective, so you're open to
Anything.
the existence of a creator.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what evidence would satisfy you and convince you that there is a creator?
There is a what, sorry?
A creator of our universe.
Well, I'd have to see it with my eyes. I'd have to feel it. I'd have to experience it.
So if you see
I will
it,
not base it on faith
Okay.
or
So-
books or billions of other people telling me that
okay.
it's true.
So if you see someone says I'm God and you touch them and feel them and experience them, you would believe that this is God.
Yeah, I believe what I see.
Yeah. So if somebody comes along and says
Evidence.
if somebody comes along and says I am God, and you can see them in whatever shape or they are, whether a human being or something else in a different form, you would believe this is God.
No, because many people have done that in the past, haven't they?
No.
And lots of prophets.
No. Look at what you just said. I asked you what evidence would convince you, and you gave me a kind of evidence. The evidence, and I said, okay, suppose that evidence.
Nice to meet you. Cheers. Cheers, mate.
See ya.
Take care. And I said, suppose that evidence is given to you.
Yeah.
Someone comes along, something comes along and says, I am God.
Okay.
You can see and you can feel and you can touch. And now you're saying, I won't believe. That means what you're asking for initially wasn't quite right.
Okay, so that's a question I've never considered before.
Okay.
That was my initial answer.
Okay.
My answer's not good enough. I don't know what I'd need then. Clearly, if this guy came and told me he's God, and I'd say, oh, I can feel him, like I said, I can experience him, he can tell me, but then I don't believe him. So obviously I need more. I don't know what I need.
So
And my answer is I don't know.
yeah, but isn't there a way of knowing this? We can explore how can we know. There are various sources of knowledge, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Do you think science is the only source of knowledge, or there are more than?
Of course not.
There are other avenues besides science. Yeah. So this universe, do you think it's more rational to believe it always existed without coming into existence?
Look, I'm not a big fan of the Big Bang either, but I'm definitely not a fan of creationism. I'm not a fan of it appearing out of nowhere. I don't know what to think.
Yeah. So this
Far
universe
beyond
that
my
exists.
capability to answer.
Okay. So suppose now we really suppose